So this video is going to explain a bit about atoms, elements and molecules. Now, atoms, like we've seen, atoms are tiny particles. So another name for atoms could be particles. They're very tiny, they cannot be seen with the eye or even under a microscope. They're so tiny. And because we don't really know how to represent them, we're just going to use a circle to represent it. So particles are represented using circles. Okay, so we have a particle. Now, particles can be of different sizes, they can be of different masses, and there has been studies that have classified these particles. So this is where the periodic table came from. So now you have different types of particles which have been called elements. So an element is a simple substance that cannot be broken down into any simpler substances. What does that mean? Means that if I have these two substances, so you can see that if I break this down, I will end up with still the red particle, which means that I cannot break it down into any simpler substance. I still end up with that red particle. So let's say this is hydrogen. So if I break down that these two atoms combine, if I break this down, I will still end up with hydrogen. So I'm not getting anything that is simpler. So this is an element. There's nothing simpler than this particle. Now, if I consider this one now and I'm breaking it down, when I break it down, I will end up with hydrogen and chlorine. So, which means that this can be broken down into simpler substances. This is a simpler substance compared to that substance here. So we're breaking down into something simpler, which means that this is not an element. So this is an element, but this is not an element. Okay? So simple substances that cannot be broken down, or in other words, they can be defined as things that contain only one type of particles. So you see here, there's just red particles. So it is an element. Here there's red particles and blue particles. So that's not an element. So these two are used to define what elements are. Simple substance cannot be broken down, so we can't break this in anything simpler, and only one type of particle, so just red particles here. And here there's two types of particles, so that's not an element. Now let's see what molecules are. So put simply, molecules consist of two or more atoms, two or more particles. So you can have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, any amount, any number of particles. But there's two situations that can arise. Two or more atoms, the atoms can be of the same type, while the atoms can be of different types. So two or more atoms that are the same, or two or more atoms that are different. Let's see these two situations. So here we have a couple of examples of molecules where the atoms that are in the molecules are the same atoms. So maybe that would be HH, maybe that is O, so maybe that's sulfur. So here there's 8 sulfur combined, here there's 2 hydrogen combined, here there's 3 oxygen combined. So one way to show these molecules is using a simple notation. So we use a symbol, hydrogen contains, so hydrogen has symbol H, there's 2 hydrogen, so I'm just going to put a 2 at the bottom. This is called subscript. Okay, numbers at the bottom are called subscript. Here, oxygen is made up of 3. There's 3 here, so O3. S here, there's 8, so S8. Okay, so these are molecules, but these molecules, they have the same element. They have the same type of atoms that make them up. Because they contain 2 or more atoms, yes, they are molecules, but they are molecules that are elements. So they are molecules of elements. Right? So if you see the same type of atoms or you see the same color together, so they're still elements, because if we break it down, if we break hydrogen down, we'll still get hydrogen. We break this one down, we'll still have oxygen. We break this one down, we'll still have sulfur. So it's still elements, but they are molecules because there's 2 or more combined together. Now, in case where the atoms are different now, so here you see that you have, so there's one type of atom and then there's another type of atom. So let's say this is H and Cl, H and Cl. So this is a molecule. It consists of 2 different type of atoms. Here, this one, let's say that's H and that's O. So that's let's say that's H and O here. So this is another molecule because it consists of 2, here it consists of 3 different atoms. 3 atoms combined together, there's 2 different atoms here. Okay, so here is another example where you have 2 different types of atoms, but you can see there is 6 atoms that are combined. So these are molecules. Why they are molecules? Because they consist of 2 or more atoms combined together. Now, molecules could be elements, okay, if the atoms are the same. But if atoms are different, now these, we call them compounds. Compounds. So these are molecules of compounds. So this is a bit a summary of whatever we have covered. So atoms, elements, molecules, molecules of elements, and molecules of compounds. This is a new term. We're going to see more about compounds.